free, all that kind of stuff. So with that, we have an amazing presenter today. No,
don't oversell it.
I'm putting it out there. But I know so many of you, we've talked about it for so long, have struggled with making that conversion when you're meeting people. And so Heather's going to go through some really great tips and things on how to do that really well. So with that,
yes, Heather, let me bring you back to reality and lower the expectation a little bit. So, okay, so a little bit of background on this whole thing. I have a team of agents and we work with internet leads. Does anybody else work with internet leads? Okay. Does anybody have like a 100% business by referral? Cool. Because those people, I don't know that this is going to be useful for them, but people who work with strangers, like internet leads, this will help. Internet leads need sold. And so this training actually happened because my team was getting lots of meetings, but not turning them into clients. And that's a problem. Like, why are we spinning our wheels going on meeting after meeting after meeting and not converting sales? And we're actually, we're a Zillow preferred partner. So we have some pretty serious metrics to meet with our sales. So we have to have so many of the people we met with converted into a client. So either I have to figure out how to scam Zillow, it's probably not going to work because they're pretty smart, or we have to get better at converting these people into clients. So I thought about it and I thought about it and I thought about it. I'm like, oh my God, I need sales training because I don't have the answer. I have a background in customer service, which, you know, I would argue that that is exactly what real estate sales is. I'm not selling the house. They're picking the house and I'm helping them get to the end. But there seems to be a piece missing that somebody with actual sales experience would know. So I recently have made a new best friend. His name is Claude. Although I have a friend in Canada who speaks French, and so she calls him Cloud. So me and Cloud have had a nice little friendship, and he's basically my second brain. And you can do this with ChatGPT, with Gemini, just use it to be your second brain. So I tell it my problem, like, hey, I need some sales help. We're not converting our leads, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm thinking, is it the way we dress? Well, that doesn't make any sense because I've dressed like this for 15 years. And what is the problem now with this? Is it the way am I too overweight? Well, that doesn't make sense. You know, so everything that I thought, oh, could it be, you know, if somebody has too many tattoos, could that be it? Well, no, because somebody else has more and they sell. So nothing made sense. So I don't think it's us or the way we're presenting ourselves, but I'm not there. And if I were there, like if I were shadowing Shannon on an appointment, like it would be a mess because I wouldn't actually be able to see what Shannon was doing on the appointment because I would naturally take over. So I'm explaining these things to Cloud, and he, yes, I've assigned him to be a man. So Cloud responds back to me like, you know, it sounds like you have a process. What is your process, Heather? And so I'm like, well, I don't really have a process. I have all this experience. And so I know what I'm doing when I walk in the door, which is not an amazing way to train a brand new sales agent. Just do it like me. And I come in with the confidence of selling 1,000 houses, which is a little bit different than selling 2 houses. So Claude says, that's your problem. You don't have a process. You need a better process. And so I spoke to him, and I actually don't even type anymore. I use this app called Whisper. So in addition to this amazing training, you're going to get all these tech tips. I use this app where I get to talk to Claude, and I explained everything that I would do in a showing. And so he was able to then take that information, and not only did he put it into an outline, but he made these slides. And then I presented it to my team, and they were like, okay. And you can see things sort of clicking for them. We have a little cheat sheet that we'll get to at the end, and this will be emailed to you because, well, we think Claude is from another country because it's not really formatted properly for 8.5 by 11 paper. It's probably on A4. And, you know, there's all kinds of kinks when you use AI as a second brain. Really, it's my first brain. But so we'll get you a copy of everything. And the original slides that I was going to use have like all of the words on the slides, because I'm not a trainer, I'm not a presenter, I'm not a PowerPoint expert. And I sent them to Michelle and she said, oh, this is nice. Do you want to redo the slides? No, I don't. Did not. Well, she said, I think she wanted to confirm that this is what we wanted to use. And the reason I had all the words on the slides originally is because if you join my team 6 months from now, then you could just read it and you have all the information. Like, you haven't missed anything. You're perfectly caught up in reading it. So we could share those with people after the fact. So if they missed anything, like Anna, hi, thanks for joining us, then they can catch right up with all the words. So the other day, Claude made me a new copy that has bullet points, but the way our technology here works is a little janky and we can't have speaker notes. So I have like 25 pages of speaker notes. So can we just all agree that we're not going to judge Heather for reading off of her paper for this amazing presentation that will hopefully make you more money?
No.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. That's my husband. He'll be making dinner for that. Okay, so yeah, the whole point of today's training is to make more money. We're going to start converting these buyer leads in the 30 minutes that you have the showing. So you know the process, you're not converting. It's not about new scripts. It is about the habits and confidence that make a buyer choose you, which is what somebody who sold 1,000 houses brings to the table: habits and confidence. And the first showing is an audition. Oh, part of my cheat sheet is that I should be able to see the number on the presentation to fit back to my, oh my God, this is already going so well. So where are the moments that you might be losing someone? Who has done a showing with somebody and didn't convert them into a client? Like where do you feel like maybe we're getting somewhere with them and then nothing happened?
I think it's sometimes too when they're flustered. You can already tell when they meet someone and there's like kids running around or the parents are there and everything's like kind of chaotic.
Yeah.
I think that kind of takes things a little bit south right away.
Totally.
You kind of have to like pull everybody in.
Yeah.
And know how to do that, I guess.
Right.
Like we said, it's naturally, but how do I then say that to Allison? You know, but
right.
It's hard, but I think that's like a hard part when you get there and everything's just like super chaotic.
Yes. I'm not entirely sure that this is going to solve the chaos. Bring a babysitter with you for the families.
Right.
What were you going to say?
Well, when I used to buy leads from Realtor.com and I'd meet strangers, this is before we had the buyer's agreement. They'd be like, okay, yeah, this is nice, this is nice. And then they would ghost me because they had their own realtor.
Yes.
So that shouldn't be an issue anymore.
Well, it shouldn't be. And you know, I think there's something to be said about that because you're not going to convert 100% of the leads. So like our Zillow metrics, for example, they expect around 10% conversion, which is what they tell you up front. But then the math on the back end is maybe they're okay with 5 to 7% conversion. So if you can get one sale out of every 10 leads, that's great. So, you know, a couple of those people are automatically going to cancel the appointment because they're going to realize that their realtor should have shown them. There's a few people who are still going to sign the form with you and then they're going to ditch you. So like, there's definitely going to be some follow-up that happens, but yeah, otherwise people might have commitment issues, but they're not committing to you because they don't know if you're the right person for the job yet. So if the first showing is an audition, while you're thinking, well, is this the right house for them? Are they going to buy? Do they like me? Did they notice I was 2 minutes late? Like, what do I say now? I don't really know. So they're trying to think about Okay, well, do we really want to move? Like, oh, it's such a drag. If they have 4 kids, I don't even know how they would do that. Anna, how would you move with 4 children?
I haven't moved.
Exactly. A lot of
And I
families
need
just
a different
don't.
house. So yeah, it's just.
Right. So, but these are the things that, can we really do this? Like, oh, this is so nice. Can we really afford it? So they're thinking about all of those things. And you have to use that time to get into that with them and develop that bond with them so that they remember you. Really, you're doing that not by giving them a tour of the house. Because if you're just touring the house, the kitchen. Oh, they have stainless steel appliances. Oh, well, I really like this sunroom. The basement is finished. That's nice. Oh my God, they have eyes. They can see all of these things. What are you doing if you're just saying the same exact things that they can see? Like that's nothing. You look exactly like every other agent they've ever met, and they're never going to remember you. But if you treat it like an audition, then you're unforgettable. And if you think about what makes you unforgettable, it's probably not knowing the most information, although research is still important. Like coming in really cold and not having the answer to any questions is going to be hard. But making them feel like you care about them is really going to be what makes you stand out from the other person who's like, and here's a refrigerator. You're not on a game show, you're selling real estate. So, okay, what did my little notes say here? Yeah, this is terrible, Michelle. I told you should have canceled. Yeah, so let's define what winning looks like. If you are successful at your audition and it's a good showing, then they'll sign the agreement on the spot. Realistically, maybe you can get a verbal yes to something and a second showing booked. At a bare minimum. Nice work over here, cut off on the side. Come on, Claude, welcome to America. A specific next step that they agree to. So, and we've got some ideas on ways that you can reach these next steps. So, what do buyers actually remember about the agent that they chose? And like, let's not even think about real estate for a second. Has anybody ever bought a washer and dryer? Okay, what made you choose that washer and dryer? Like, did you have an interaction with a person? I bought a washer and dryer. We've lived in our house for 15, 16, 17 years, something like that. And I think we've on our 4th washer and dryer. And it's just 2 people, and like, we're not football players. We don't have seriously dirty clothes. So we're constantly replacing these appliances. And there's this woman at NFC, I think her name is Mary. I would recognize her if I saw her, but I don't really remember her name. And when I was thinking about this today, like what were the things that stood out to me about that salesperson? She told me what not to buy. She's like, oh, you don't want that one. Because in my mind, I want the most expensive thing. I'm tired of buying washers and dryers. So it's probably I've not invested enough in it, which is why they keep breaking. So I'm going to get the Mac Daddy washer and dryer. I'm going to spend all the money. She's like, oh my God, you need to stop that right now. You don't need any of this. This is exactly what you need. And she saved me half the cost. And then she said, no, listen, this breaks all the time. So you're going to need the warranty. Great. So I got like the NFC, it's the equivalent to a home warranty. And she was exactly right. And it paid for the dryer, because the dryer, like they just gave me $750 because they couldn't fix it. So that was cool. Like, what are other examples like that of salespeople that stick out in your memory? Could be realtor, could be a car salesman.
My car.
Okay.
We went and looked at a car on New Year's Eve this year because I had a minivan that was about ready to. It was making random noises, and so that's never good when you have a lot of kids to haul around. And I just didn't want one. And so, and it had been paid off for years. So we went and looked at one, and we started at Nissan. And I really just liked the salesperson. His name was George. He was cute. He was super nice. And they were so nice to me there. I mean, like, I could have hugged every single one of them there. And we looked at other, like SUVs, just kind of looking, and we were going to buy something more expensive, but it was the amount of work that he did to help me get the price I wanted. Plus, it was just, I had fun giving him a hard time about things, and he was so good. And just a kick for George at Nissan. They have a realtor rebate of $6,000 off of a brand new car, and that's all of Nissan. So that also really helped, and so nobody else could compare with that. And I think you can use it on Infinity too, but it made it like it wasn't an issue to buy a $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 car. It was just easy. So
Did George seem like it was his first day?
no,
How long have you been selling cars?
not super long.
Not super long.
No, I don't think so.
How did you know that?
We talked about it, and he was honest with me. And that was the only one that I felt like he was giving me honest answers. So,
Did it matter that he was new?
No.
I don't think that new people should tell people that they're new in real estate.
I think he said he'd been doing it for maybe a year or so, but nothing like, you
Sure.
know what I mean?
Yeah. Right, not the first day. So Chris is new on our team. So he and I just had this conversation the other day, like, no, don't tell people you're new. They're going to move right along. So, but research, do your homework and trick it. Okay, so let's see what we have next. So this is the setup, 90 seconds before you walk in. So you're doing the audition, you're on your game. You want them to remember you, but the 90 seconds before you walk in, you need to start getting some micro agreements. So if you said something like, before we go in, I want to make sure that this showing actually works for you. So I'm thinking about you. I'm going to ask questions as we walk through, because the more I understand what you're really looking for, the better I can help you find it. And I wouldn't actually enunciate it like that. The better I can help you find it. Sound good? Yes. How does that sound back? Like, of course, and if they said no, stop everything. What do you mean no? Did you want me to just open the door and you can go in yourself? Because we're done, right? So like, you either reframe it so that it becomes a yes for them, or find out what's really going on, because they have another realtor, so they don't want you talking to them. Yeah, girl, bye. So then, after I get them to say yes, I'm going to ask them, are you working with the lender yet? Or is that still on your to-do list? Okay, so Anna, you were late. You have to do all the role playing. I know, she texted me this morning and she's like, wait, role playing, what is this? I just read the description. Okay, so a buyer walks up, you're at your appointment, they've already signed a property tour, like, you're good. What do you do?
I introduce myself. I said hi, introduce myself, and then I actually unlock the door, because it usually takes me like a minute or two. And meanwhile, by that time is dead, I tell them, hey, we're gonna go in. I'm gonna point out things I see might be a problem, or things that are great about this home. And then I want you to think about how this relates to your current space that you're currently living in, or how the space relates to, if we've seen another home before, how it relates to that. Just keep that in the back of your mind, and I will help kind of facilitate, questions and things about the home as we go, or about what you were looking for as we go. And that's how I get most of the information.
Do you say sound good at the end?
I don't actually, but usually they're like, oh, okay, that sounds, they usually reply, that sounds great. Because like, if we're in Beaverdale and we're in a basement, first thing I say when we get to the basement is, I like to use all my senses down here. Does it smell? Does it feel dry? Things like that. And I'm like, oh, this one smells pretty good. Or I'll be like, first kind of alert. So then I start looking and, then they'll point things out and be like, oh yeah, it does feel like that. So
Okay.
like, it's just easy to get them to kind of.
Okay. Chris, what are you going to say? Let's role play. I'm the buyer. What are you gonna say?
Hey Heather, I have some questions for you to help me understand what you're looking for and help paint a better picture of what we can achieve together. And want to make sure it's the right place for you.
Read the screen.
Please read it. Before we go in, I'm going to ask you questions as we walk through, so I can help you find the right place. Sound good?
That does sound good. Are you working with the lender yet?
Are you working with the lender yet?
Or is that still on your to-do list?
That's what we need to do.
You're gonna be great. Yeah. Does anybody have a rendition of this that they're doing that they think works well for them? Comments, criticism, concerns? We have about another hour and 12 minutes to suffer through
I have a
this.
question.
Oh.
Do you have EBA signed before? Do you do buyer consultations before, or are you talking that you're doing it at the house because it's the Zillow lead and you're meeting them there right then?
Yeah, so for I would say 9 out of 10 of our clients, so 99% of the people that we meet, we are having them sign a property pre-touring agreement.
Okay.
And so we have a process once the lead comes in where, and if it's a Zillow lead or a Realtor.com lead, you know, we would say, hey, Stephanie, I just wanted to, this is Heather Wright with Remax Concepts. I'm on your Zillow real estate team. I just want to confirm that 1 o'clock today at 123 Main Street still works for you. Do you have any other houses that you want to look at? And that's all in text. So I don't even have to like remember the script. It's a template, boom, it goes. And then you would probably be like, yeah, that works. See you then. And then my second message is, oh, before we tour, Iowa law requires that I have this signed. And so then I send them their property pre-touring agreement. It's just for a day. So it gives us an opportunity to meet. If they ask questions, like we have all of the things to rebut that. And then once they meet me and they're like, oh, she's our girl, we want to work with her. And maybe they haven't made that decision yet. Maybe the buyer doesn't actually cognizantly think I have to choose a realtor, and I'm okay with that too. But the second time that we look at a house, they're signing an EBA. Yeah. And all of that is prepared up front at that first time showing. So we do go over that information with them in a roundabout way. And, you know, it's sort of, we catch their vibe, you know, so like, maybe I don't like them right off the bat. So I'm going to be like, okay, have a nice life. But maybe it's a first time buyer who is totally into a flood of information right then and there. So we have the packet, we pull it all out and go through all of that information. But they always know that if we look at a second house, there's another form to sign.
This kind of relates to earlier, not like this, but you said not to mention that you're a new agent. I was hosting an open house. Somebody directly asked me, I don't want to lie.
No, I wouldn't lie. If they ask you if you're a new agent, then you
So
should tell the
right now.
truth. Yes.
Okay.
But I would not offer that information.
Okay.
I would not be like, hi, I'm Heather. Today is my first day. It's so nice to meet you. But instead I would be like, hi, I'm Heather. I would read my script and then how can I help you? And so if you are brand new at an open house, or you're just hosting an open house that's not your listing, they're going to ask you 1,000 questions. And eventually you're not going to know the answer. Listen, I have to confess, I feel like you might already know this, but I'm brand new. So what's going on? Like, you know, so it really just depends on the situation, but I would not offer that information. I also would not lie. So when you're meeting people from Zillow, they don't actually care about you. From Realtor.com, from Rocket Mortgage, from Redfin. When you meet strangers on the internet, they don't care about you. So they're not going to say, what is your name? What's your name?
Abigail.
Abigail. They're not going to say, Abigail, tell me, how long have you been in business? And if they do, like, that's weird. That's creepy. They're going to say, hey, Abigail, open the door. Let me in. I want to see it. So, yeah, that's my stance on that.
I had just did a transaction with a car dealership last weekend with my parents. And it was really interesting because they had gone test drove a vehicle. My mom noticed something wrong with the vehicle. Guy kind of said, no, it's the road. It's the tires. We'll get that serviced. But it was very clear to my mom. She's 73. She's been driving really long time. And so then I knew somebody, she was newer, and I knew her from Facebook, that she worked there. So I reached out. I need somebody honest with my parents. They like Toyota. Can I come in and talk to you? So I came in and talked to her. She was new. And I was so impressed by just her confidence in her ability to find out. And then I said, she's like, they test drove the red RAV, correct? And I said, yeah. She's like, would you like to go test drive with me? I said, yeah, I would. And sure enough, she goes, yep, that. I said, yeah. And so she identified, she was honest. She identified a problem. And I have taken, I don't know, 25 years of problem solving for clients, not in real estate, hair, and realize that the more honest you are with people, the more confident you sound. And so even being a new agent myself, I come off more confident, even not knowing the industry as much as she does. And so it's like, just that, like, I'm new, but I'm confident that I can help you kind of vibe.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
And part of that is listening.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think new people, even not new people who are just in that situation where you feel under pressure and people are staring at you to have the answer, like you can panic a little bit on the inside. Like, okay, listen, here's the deal. I don't actually know. If you give me a minute, I'll look it up. I'll call the agent, whatever. So, absolutely having your fallback of let me get that information back to you is exactly right. We recently had somebody who called me directly and she said, actually I thought it was one of those scam leads because she spelled, like she saw my profile on Zillow, but it wasn't a Zillow lead. And so she messaged me, but then she spelled Zillow with an X. And I thought, here we go. She wants to Zoom call me. And so I called her thinking for sure she's not going to answer. And she did. And then she was a real person. And I'm like, okay, I'm so unprepared for this because I totally thought it was a Zoom scam. And so she explained how they were looking for somebody to show them some houses. They really didn't want to commit to a realtor. They kind of knew that there was this long-term EBA. And so she knew too much. So I said, well, tell me what's going on. Like, why are you, it sounds to me like you've got experience. Have you worked with a realtor? Do you have a realtor? What's really happening here? And so she explained that there was somebody who was not at Remax Concepts and who had shown them houses and she didn't like them. Okay, why didn't you like her? Well, she just didn't have the answer to anything. Okay. And so in my mind, I'm not working with this person, but I've got Chelsea, who's a newer agent who would do, like Chelsea would live and breathe to help this person. Whereas, you know, you're lucky I answered the phone today. So, but I've got somebody to assign you to. And I'm like, well, I don't understand why that's a problem. Not knowing the answer, tell me more about that. And so really, they just felt like she didn't understand what their questions were and then never followed up with the answer. So listening, acknowledging what it is that they want, and then following through. And so I explained to her, here's the deal. I've got a gal that I think you're going to be a great match with. I will have her call you. Let's do it. Let's do a trial. Let's do a 14-day trial. Work together for a couple of weeks. If it goes, if you run into any problems, call me. We'll fix it. But I think it's going to be okay. And they bought, I think, a house for $550,000. So they did their 14-day trial. Then they maybe had to sell a house in Eastern Iowa, had a couple weeks off, and then they came back, but they were only willing to do a 30-day EBA. Whatever. So we did a 30-day EBA at that point, and they went under contract. But she left a glowing review for Chelsea, who does not know anything about houses because she's brand new. Like she literally, I mean, of course she knows, but she was licensed in November. And so she just gave good service and good follow-up and let me get that disclosure for you and answered all of their questions and didn't make them wait. And that sold them. So those are really good points.
Yeah, and the follow-up with her lack of experience was made up by her overachieving customer service. She even went to my parents' house because my dad's like 84, doesn't get around great. And she went to my dad's house or my parents' house, and we brought the car so he could see it. And he was complaining about a mole in his yard. And she went over and stomped down that little like molehill.
Now that's service.
And I was like, she was so great. We talked about farm life and wow. And I was like, damn. Like, and they got a car. I mean, it was just like, she didn't know all the answers. She didn't have 20 years of car salesman experience, but it was like,
Right.
she stopped the molehill.
Yeah, and that applies in any industry.
Yeah.
Okay, what do we have next? The showing, we're in Act 2. Okay, so we kind of talked about this a little bit, like don't describe rooms. You're not Dana, this is the house. I mean, some days I feel like Dana, but yeah.
I do. I just try to ask them, like, what do you like about the kitchen? What don't you like?
Yes.
Because some people will be like, well, I really want an open concept. I don't like how it's so like closed
And
off.
how many houses do you sell a year? A lot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could sell way more. So, but that's what I mean. Also answering them, right? Asking that, I feel like works too because then it involves them.
And it makes them feel like you care.
Yeah.
But you also have to listen to their answers because
Right.
then your follow-up questions aren't going to make sense if you're just,
Or you're
Okay.
sending them houses that still have closed off kitchens. They're like, what? We told you we didn't like that.
Right.
Yeah.
I blame the computer for that. Just- that was Claude, sorry.
Heather, I feel like when we do our showings, my buyers know way more about that house already
Yeah.
than, you know, and I mean, there's times when you're busy and I'm pretty house, you know, but they already know that there's a blue bedroom, there's a yellow bedroom, there's green cabinets, and I'm like, they're like, this is a green cabinet house. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
it is. Like, I'm like, I haven't looked at any of the pictures. You know, sometimes you just don't have time to
Right.
be as prepared as we want to be. But I always feel like my buyers know more, so we don't have to go, here's the bedroom, here's you know, because they know.
they probably know
They know
exactly why those
everything.
sellers are selling too.
Yeah. So, and they know who they are on Facebook.
Right.
And yeah.
Right, yes. And that is, I love telling people, like, listen, it is clear that you know way more than I do about
Yeah.
these people. So, I think that the next time I need some recon work done, I'm totally calling you. And then they laugh and like, oh, I'm amazing at that. Excellent. Most agents follow, but you're going to lead, not to the blue bedroom, but you're going to lead, find out why they're moving. You're going to point out the good, the bad, and the ugly. So Krista's mom didn't want to buy a clunker car. And the guy that she first talked to couldn't acknowledge that the car was imperfect. But when Anna's showing houses in Beaverdale, she's like, whoa, this basement stinks. And maybe she doesn't say it quite like that, but, you know, I definitely point out the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I tell people, not only do I want to help you buy a house today, I want you to call me in a few years because I want to help you sell that and I want to help you buy another one. And we're going to repeat that. And then I want you to tell all your friends and family to call me in the meantime. Oh, okay, yeah. So are you sure you want to take on this project that looks like the house honestly needs a fresh coat of fire? Like, do you have the skills to handle this? And so people appreciate real, honest feedback. But if you think about why somebody is moving, Claude, I feel like this is in a wrong order. So the one question that matters, why are they moving? I need more space. Okay. Anna needs more space because she has too many kids. I need more space because I have a fabric addiction. So those are two different problems, right? Anna needs more space for more bedrooms. Heather just needs more crafting space. Or, you know, Scott needs more space for the motorcycle I'm not going to let him have. Nope, not happening, bud. You know, so what if somebody needs more space because their mother-in-law is moving in? Now, what does that look like? Is she going to, do you need like a private entrance for the mother-in-law? More space is the easy answer, but when you dig a little bit deeper to find out exactly what it is that they're planning on using the house for, and then you can ask those questions. Well, how do you feel about this kitchen? okay, well, is this kitchen situation, in the deep, dark dungeon of a basement, is that gonna work for your mom? Oh, no, it's not, because she needs to be a bright, airy, like, whatever the situation is. Knowing why they're moving is going to help you point things out in the house. So how does this compare to what you pictured? What's standing out, good or bad? Is there anything here you couldn't live with? Is there anything you couldn't live without?
Like the question where you ask them like, what is it currently for me with current place
Yeah.
to live?
Yeah, where do you
Like,
live now? Are you renting?
Then you get that.
And you're not renting, you need to sell, and this could be a listing too?
Right. Don't have enough bedrooms, not enough space,
Right.
backyard sets, things like that. So then you can really help them.
Well, and then that also identifies the person who's perfectly happy where they live. They are just looking for that unicorn that maybe one day might show up.
Right.
Yes. So their answers to the questions will help you identify how much energy to spend on them as well. About their situation. How long have you been looking? Oh, you've been looking for 4 years? For crying out loud. How is that a possibility? Renting, do you have a place to sell? What's driving your timing? Oh, you're pregnant. Cool. Let's get all your problems solved right now. More space versus a private entrance for my mother-in-law. Okay, so I like to ask people, what do you think? Do you love it? Does this make you want to write a big check? I don't know. I think we need to see more houses first. Okay. Well, why? Everything you just told me makes it sound like this is going to be the right house. So what are more questions that you can work into motivation? Stephanie, if somebody tells you, I don't know.
I do a scale. I always tell them 1 to 10. 10, I love it. I'm writing an offer today. 1, you couldn't pay me to live here. Before we kind of start, and it's so funny because the husband and wife are completely opposite.
Okay.
Wife will be like, I'm at an 8. And the husband's like, really? Because I'm at like a 4. I'm like, oh. So it's like, well, why are you at a 4? What didn't you like about it? And so forth. So that kind of like brings them together a little bit.
Do you ever ask them like, okay, what would you have to be in order to let your wife buy this house? Would it have to be at least a 6?
My truck has to fit in the garage. It's always that. I feel like it's always the.
And then you're pulling it into the show.
Yeah, and then we're actually, I will do it right now. Let's go. And they're like, really? I'm like, yes.
I could pull out right here,
Yeah.
hit the bumper.
Yeah.
But yeah, I always think the scale thing actually works for me. I don't know. It always kind of has.
Yeah.
Because it gives them kind of something to think about when we're looking at 5, 6, 7 houses or whatnot.
Okay.
So they can kind of keep track too.
Okay. Yep. I think that's a great idea. Thanks a lot, Claude, for getting shown up in the training here. But okay, so then what if they're, I don't know, it's 5, it's fine. Okay, well, what could be better?
Sometimes that 5 turns into an 8 as the more houses we see. So that's why I do that. So then sometimes they're like, oh, really? Now that one is like an 8 and this one's like a 5. So because it's hard, it's the first house you've probably seen, then your scale kind of goes up and down as you go.
Do you point out bad things in the house?
You think I do?
Of course. It was a leading question. I knew the answer.
Like I'm Italian, of course. And I always tell them that too. I'm sorry, I'm very forward, but that's just who I mean.
Right.
When
It's
you
gonna get
do
me.
track like the scale, let's say you like end up showing like 5 houses or something, do you track it? Like, because I have my notes app up and
I do,
and
yeah.
I
So
like
then
to
I'll
copy
remember,
paste and
but
do it.
they're pretty good about it. Once they start doing it, they're like, well, you were at a 6 at the other, and then we have like an argument going on the front porch. But then they're like, I'm like, well, why don't we go back to the other house and then just see if it both turns into an 8 after seeing the other ones. So kind of something,
Perfect.
kind of like a little game too.
Perfect.
And it's really fun when the kids get involved, the little kids, because the little kids can play too. So the little kids are like, Mom, I think this one's like a 10.
Yeah, they're
Yes, I agree.
they have no
Let's go.
discerning opinion, do they? Every house is a 10.
But it's cute because it involves them too. So
That's so funny.
One of the things I like to tell people when we're showing is you guys are gonna be the ones that live here. I'm not. So my job is to look around and look for cracks, you know, moisture stains on ceilings, things that we're gonna see come up in the inspection, but we want to see if we can point them out before, you know, so that when you do end up going through the home inspection, you're like, oh yeah, we already knew, we saw that, we, you know, like how does the basement smell? So I try to point out as much of the, I'm like, you guys look at the space and I want you to, can you picture your furniture here? Where's your Christmas tree gonna go? You know, do the bedrooms fit your furniture? And I'm gonna point out there's a crack, the windows are original, you know, things that might cost them more money than what they're thinking about. So
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people, especially newer agents, fall into the, are they gonna like me trap? Of course they're gonna like you. What's not to like? It's if they trust you. And for some reason, people don't trust realtors because they're like, oh, they make too much money. And only you do. So what can you do to, and it's really hard, I think, to self-evaluate, okay, where did I lose the opportunity to get their trust on that? When maybe the husband said it was a 4 and maybe I said, oh, are you sure? Happy wife, happy life. So now I'm trying to push him into the sale to match the wife. And maybe that is a situation where I could be losing the trust with him because I didn't care what he had to say. So, you know, just think about those scenarios, because the other part of this is I've been doing this since 2010. Steph's been doing it for, yeah. You know, Shannon longer. So like we know, and it just sort of comes naturally, but you have to self-evaluate that. And then you always are getting better. You know, I wasn't always this person.
It doesn't mean we don't get stumped sometimes either. I mean, there's times where I'm like,
It doesn't mean I'm not calling Lance when he's on vacation.
Michelle's her draw. I think that's gonna happen no matter what, just because things change so much.
Exactly. But one of the things that I'm always doing, and Scott can attest to this, I'm like, oh my God, what could I have done to get a different outcome? Or how could I do that better next time? And I think that's really important, is having the wherewithal. And sometimes it's hard to self-evaluate and realize, oh, that was the moment I really screwed the pooch on that. So yeah. Okay. What is next? Act 3, the close. This is where the showing is over, and most agents lose it right here. Like, there's, oh my gosh. No. Most agents do not, this is where that person goes to forever. So on a scale of 1 to 10, where does this land for you?
There you go.
Claude had this
Well
thing.
done. See?
Good job, Claude. Yeah, so where does it land for you? I love this. We already talked about it though, Claude. Okay, so now in our buyer packet, and remember this training started for my team. So who here uses buyer packets when they're meeting strangers on the internet? Okay, so what do you have in your buyer? Are you on Steph's team?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, okay. Krista, what do you have in your buyer packet?
Oh, core values, the process, maybe a lender, process of getting a lender, getting pre-approved, what I'll do during showings, you know, next steps, and then like what closing looks like. Things, all my information.
Okay. And is that like in a folder that you hand them, or?
Yeah, like a packet.
A packet. Okay. Okay. So we have folders, and then we also have a digital resource because one time I went on a showing and my husband / teammate stole the last buyer packet out of my car, and I was unprepared for my showing. So I met Erbal and Ginny at a showing and told them about this amazing buyer packet that I did not have for them, but I would email them a copy. So that sometimes works when you can just talk about it with confidence, then email it to them later. But one of the things in our buyer packet, which is probably like, I think you mentioned it, like the second or third thing you said, like what happens in the process. Yeah. So we have a map, and I think concepts, Yeah, because I stole mine from Ryan Rivera 100 years ago. So, and I think it's the same one that Concepts
Similar,
is based off of. So we hand them the map and tell them, you know, hey, this maps out the whole process. And we've got a folder of information and, or I guess it's not a map, it's a timeline. A buyer timeline is what it's called. It maps out the whole process. Nothing should surprise you when things start moving fast. This is what working with me looks like. I take care of everything for you. Which is kind of true. I guess I don't really give their financial stuff to the lender. There's still a lot of work for them to do, but I'm going to help you through every step of the process. And we could actually go through every step of the process so that they have an idea of what to expect. And so that way, then hopefully that stands out from the crowd because everybody probably has a packet of information. And so if I'm pulling one thing out instead of forcing them to go through my 70-page PowerPoint, I know, right? They're like, God, I thought I was just looking at a house and you're pinning me down for a presentation. Come on, lady. But here's this one page. This is what makes me different than everybody else. Because you're auditioning. So you want to show them that you are incredibly smart. Even if it's your first day, you've been trained on the process because the state of Iowa gave you a license, right? So you actually know more than they do. And then you're going to close the conversation based on what you've already talked about. So they've said, oh, geez, this house is a 4. I don't know. I feel like we should look at some more houses. Okay. Well, how about I pull a couple of homes that fit what you told me today, and then we could go look at them together this weekend. What does your schedule look like on Saturday? Oh, Saturday is not good. Cool. I can do Friday night. When does your schedule open up this week? There's lots of ways you can say that. Does anybody schedule the next appointment at the end of their first appointment for strangers on the internet?
I mean, sometimes it just goes well. I mean, I feel like if it's going well, then absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what we were doing too.
Yeah.
But now we make it a point to try and schedule the second appointment on every appointment to get them to the next step.
I feel like I run into the issue where if they're not pre-approved and they want to keep looking at houses, I almost hesitate because I'm like, well, I don't want to keep looking at houses if we have unrealistic goals and you don't really know what you're looking for. I just had this happen and he was more than willing to get pre-approved before looking at more houses, but it's just like some people, I tell them that and say that to them, but then they don't move forward getting pre-approved, or like I have to follow up with them constantly, being like, where are you at with the pre-approval? Like, can I help you with anything?
Right.
And that's the ghosting part.
Yeah,
Sure.
and then it like turns into a ghosting situation because like obviously I want to be of value to them, but like I don't want to show you unrealistic homes where we don't know what you can afford and what you're comfortable with paying.
Right.
Or do you have any tips for that?
Do.
Okay.
So it used to be, if you go back 5 years, we didn't have, well, we've always had a buyer broker agreement, but we didn't always use it. And, you know, when it became the law, of course I followed the law. But before that, it was just like, yeah, I'll go show anybody a house. And so I have a one showing rule. I will show you the first house for free. And then 5 years ago, you need to see a second house, you have to pony up a pre-approval letter. Now we have this EBA. So it sort of messed up my timeline because I'll show you a first house for free. That might not be enough to get them to commit to working with me because there's always another realtor on Zillow. So now I'll show you the first house for free. And then we're going to get the second appointment. And part of that close, which is probably coming up here, who knows what slide, is going to be, let's talk about your financing. Because we asked at the beginning of the appointment if they had talked to a lender yet, or if that was still on their to-do list. And so I'm actually going to recommend that they speak with my preferred lender. And because we're a Zillow preferred team, we have to use a Zillow lender. So, you know, and what we have really serious metrics. If we don't play their game, then they're going to invite us to not play the game. And that's what's up. So yes, I will recommend that you talk to Jim over at Zillow. And sometimes we have bad lenders there and then we just don't recommend them anymore. Jim is pretty good, so we've been recommending him. And Anna had the genius idea one day. Sometimes she can really pull them out of the sky. I like that about her. So she said, you know, I told so-and-so, I forget, she was just telling this story, that we need to get your baseline buying power. So talk to my guy at Zillow, get your baseline buying power. It's really easy to do. And then we can shop around and get you the best deal. So
People love that
people love that.
because sometimes they can't get it, they get approved for 200,000 and then you send them to a local lender and they're like, dude, you can get down payment assistance and X, Y, and Z, and we can approve you up to 350. And they're like, what? And I'm like, see, I told you, you do your homework because it'll help you.
So we're going to schedule the next appointment, but also, and because you told me earlier when we first met that you were not pre-approved, I've got a guy at Zillow who can get your baseline buying power very quickly. So I'm going to send you a group text to introduce you and then you can talk to him. And as long as you have that done by our next appointment, then we'll be all set.
I send that text to a lender at that appointment, the first showing. If they give me an inch, I will take the whole door.
But maybe you don't have a Jim at Zillow. That's okay. Do you have a Vicky at Iowa Trust? Yes. So you could send a 3-way text or a group text to your preferred lender. We've got templates set up in our CRM, not only for our Zillow lenders, but also for our local lenders. So it's a slightly more convoluted process than transferring to a Zillow lender. So we don't use it as often, but we could. But then we have a template set up for second opinion. So if you have an internet relationship with one of these people that gives you leads, by all means, do what you have to do to keep that relationship. And then let's get a second opinion so nobody can say, well, Heather steered me. No, I didn't. Absolutely not. Yeah.
I rock it.
Right? Yeah. But if somebody comes to me and they're already approved at Viridian, okay, whatever, send me the letter. And then let's go.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes they will say they're approved and they're not actually approved, or they're really slow getting me the letter. So I will sometimes trust people for a while and then, you know, just play it by ear after that. Okay, now, didn't you say that you were working with somebody at Viridian? Well, who is that? I'll just call him for your letter. So, but no, I will show them one house for free. The second house, I'm getting an exclusive buyer agreement. Then that's that until we get a pre-approval letter.
I also use, if they come with an approval, I say that's a great baseline. Would you like to explore other options and see if you can get a better deal? Because I'll play this along.
Yeah.
And I just send them all, I connect them to the Zillow and then I send them the other lenders we have because they're already approved. They can choose who they want to go with.
Scott, you had somebody that was approved at Rocket. Was that Ben Christensen? And then something happened. That deal was mega messed up thanks to a bad list agent. And Rocket got wind that radon was high. And they said, nope, that is an environmental safety issue. We have to have that mitigated before closing. We're not doing the loan. Couldn't get them to it was beyond ridiculous. So we had Ben call one of our local lenders, Dave Lewis at Halo Mortgage, and Dave can get things closed in 10 days. I don't know how he does it, but done. So Ben was closed in 10 days. Radon was not an issue. And he ended up saving a couple $1,000s off of what Rocket had quoted him. So, you know, your local lenders are probably, especially if they know that they're competing with somebody, you could probably help them leverage that to their benefit. And then you can tell stories like this that help you look like the hero and, oh, maybe she does know what she's talking about, and they'll give you another chance. Not another chance, but a chance. Now, I don't ever ask people to sign in the driveway. I'm mostly a a virtual paperwork person. I'll email it to you. I'd be hard pressed to have a pen in my gigantic purse. But, so I don't ask them to sign an EBA in the driveway, but I tell them, oh, the next time you want to look at houses, there's another form that we'll have to sign. It'll just cement we'll be officially dating in real estate language. And plant the seed, set the showing, and then sign it on dot loop later. So the full close, it's a 6. I'm not sure I'm ready to commit to one agent. Or it's a 9. Can we write an offer today? Yes, you sure can write an offer today. I mean, seriously, when does that happen? Run scenario A twice. Claude, we don't know what you're talking about. For real, dude. Oh, scenario A. Okay, it's a 6. I'm not sure I'm ready to commit to one. Oh, they don't want to commit to one agent. Okay. So if I'm that agent and somebody said that to me,
I go, do you commit to your dentist? Do you go to several dentists?
Right.
I say that all the time.
I was just
It's for real though. Like, do you commit to your pediatrician for your kid? Yes. It's the same thing. Like, why do you feel like
Right.
Then I put it back on them. Like, what's the reason?
yeah, I would ask them, okay, what's your plan? How are you going to look more houses? So you'd rather meet more strangers and have the same conversation over and over and over?
Go for
Wouldn't it be, so we met a guy recently who has been looking for a house for 4 years. And I had Annie, a new agent on my team. We were training, so I was with her, and I'm like, oh my gosh, kill me. I do not want to deal with this 4-year guy because he's impossible. But I had this new person with me, so you have to try extra hard when you're training. So I said to Zach, I said, well, do you think maybe you have, because his whole thing was, we've been looking for 4 years. I don't want to bother somebody because, we know we're looking for something that's going to be hard to find, and all reasonable things. And I said to him, do you think it's possible that it's taken you so long to find what you want because no one is helping you look? And he was like, well, maybe. And he didn't commit right at that showing. But then we sent him some properties like, hey, did you see this one? Hey, did you see that one? And then he called us a few days later to go look at a second house. And then we got him under buyer agreement. He still has not bought anything. But it was a win, right? And so he remembers us, and we still send him houses periodically. And, maybe we'll get a buy and maybe a sale out of it, but we'll see. So Chris, if somebody said to you, I'm not really sure I'm ready to commit to one agent, what are you going to say to that?
Do you commit to your dentist?
He says with a big pearly white smile. It's like, ting. Okay. Yeah. So tell me more about that. Like, you will commit to your dentist, but not to a realtor. Yeah. Tell me more. What's really going on here? Was it something I said? No. Why are people, well, because it's probably the commission. What is it that's causing you resistance to committing to?
But a lot of people think they have to pay the buyer's commission at that point. So then that's when we would go over
Exactly.
all of the other good
Exactly.
stuff.
And sometimes it really is just commitment issues. Before I met Mr. Wright, I had a bad marriage, and I could not, we were getting a divorce, and I had my own place, and I would just walk the aisles of Target looking for a coffee maker. I could not pick a coffee maker. So I just had commitment issues. I just could not make a decision anymore. And so that could very well be what the deal is. There's a lot of things that could be happening behind that sentence, and you just have to dig deeper to find out what's going on. So is it the 120 days? Is it the time frame? Are you not really sure if we're going to be a good fit? Because you're right. We might not be a good fit. And this actually goes 2 ways. Because you think you're interviewing me, but I'm also interviewing you. And so what if we did this? What if we did a 14-day trial. Maybe just tried it out for a couple of weeks to see if we are a good fit. And if we are, great. And if we're not, that's okay. Nobody wants to be in a bad relationship, whether it's your realtor or your dentist or a coffee maker. We got 32 minutes to go, kids. This took a lot longer when we did it with just the team, didn't it? Anna? Yeah, I feel like it took a lot longer. Okay, so then you have the follow-up. So even if they've said, I'm not ready to commit to an agent, that is not a no. That they have not told me to get lost. So now I'm going to wow them in the follow-up because I'm still auditioning. So when possible, it says not optional, but we're realtors. We know that sometimes life is hard. And maybe it's already 7 o'clock at night and you have another appointment, a final walkthrough, and you haven't even eaten dinner yet. So like 2 hours could be tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. So when possible, within 2 hours, this is between this agent gets me and I'm texting someone else. So Claude says, Heather, I'm tired of your excuses. Do it anyway. All right. Thanks a lot, AI. So you send him a text. I really enjoyed meeting you today. Based on what you told me about specific thing. Based on what you told me about needing a private entrance for your mother-in-law, I pulled a few homes I think I want to see. I hate that example because mother-in-law suites are so hard to find. Based on what you told me about wanting a big yard with a lot of privacy, I pulled a few homes I think I want to see. Let me know what stands out. Because, you know, if you sent them everything, and I do set people up on a search, and I do send them everything. You know who else does that? Every other agent sets them up on a set it and forget it search. You know who else does that? Zillow. They're the worst. They've got all the listings just like us. So sending everything doesn't really work. Zach needs at least 4 bedrooms and 2 private spaces for home offices because both he and his wife work from home. So he needs a 6-bedroom house, but he's looking like south of Grand, Ingersoll, really doesn't want to spend more than $500. It totally is a unicorn. Maybe he'd go up to 600 if everything was like super primo perfect. So we can't send, if I sent Zach all of the listings that matched at least 4 bedrooms, because nothing in that neighborhood has 6 bedrooms. But if I sent him at least 4 bedrooms and maybe there's a sunroom, maybe there's a sleeping porch, you know, there's sometimes those houses have those extra spaces. He might just get a bunch of houses and I see all of those listings. I set that search up for myself and, you know, label it Zach. And so then I get the search immediately when a house comes on the market and I'll open them up and think, oh my God, thank God I didn't send this to Zach because this would have made me look terrible. So, you know, based on what you told me about needing 4 bedrooms and 2 areas for you and your wife to work, I pulled a few homes I think you want to see. Let me know what stands out. And we also have in our CRM follow-up boss, we can see what old Zach has looked at on Zillow. So when I've got that new listing, but maybe I had all these other things to do and it's been a couple of hours since the listing has come on the market, I can see in follow-up boss that Zach has actually already looked at whatever on Ingersoll. Well, I'm still going to send it to him. Like, hey, I think this listing might work for you. What do you think? And usually he says, oh, I already saw that. Yeah, I think it could work or blah, 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 whatever the reason is that day. But boy, those 2 home office spaces, that's really, really hard to find. So then let's talk about follow-up texting. Shannon.
Yes.
What was the last follow-up text that you sent to just one of your random internet leads? Preferably one that's ghosted you.
Oh, well, I have a guy I took out once, you know, and did the whole, you know, 1-day showing. If you hate me, then we won't work together, whatever.
Right.
Well, we ended up getting in a conversation about rescue dogs. And I was like, okay, I'm your realtor. Like, done. But we haven't gone out and looked again, but I've got a search going for them. And so I just sent him a text like, hey, Sean, just checking in. I know I still have a search coming, you know, just landed in your inbox. This week I'm making tweaks. You know, if there's anything you want to change with pricing areas, you know, style of home, let me know. You know, or if you want, or if you have questions about any of them, you know, hope you're having a great week. Whatever. And he responded right away. No, oh no, I love it. I've been busy with work. How's Hank? You know, and that's my dog. And so, like, okay. So every once in a while, I just
Do you call him Henry when he's naughty?
I call him Hank when he's naughty. I call him Hankers. Hankers.
Okay, so that's a good, I mean, that's great. I would have probably replied to that, like, because that's a nice specific question. Do you need any tweaks to your search? A lot of times though, it's hard to think of what to say to people, isn't it? Like, oh, Zach, hey, have you seen another unicorn on the market? So, like, don't just ask, is there anything you've seen you want to schedule a showing? Because of course there's not. If they had seen something, they would have called you to schedule the showing. So are other people tired of sending text messages that get no response just for the sake of following up? Yeah, Scott's raising his hand. I have given you all of the tools you need.
I know, but I still.
Okay, so Claude gave us a follow-up text here. Write your own. First name. One
Do
specific
it yourself.
detail. I don't even know.
I'm gonna do it for you.
I know. Claude, what page are we on? I don't even know. Okay, so my notes here. Everybody should write their own. Imagine the first showing you just walked out of and write your baseline text. 3 things are required. The first name, 1 specific detail from the showing, 1 clear next action. Oh, I guess we're talking about the first follow-up text after the showing. So then we read them out loud. Yes, out loud. Well, guys, we've got 25 minutes to burn here. I do have some more stuff. So do we want to continue talking about the follow-up text or do we want to move on?
I have a question about a couple slides ago. You know, I have to go back. When you were referring to like setting up a search on set it and forget it versus finding a couple. I guess the issue I run into is like people change their mind all the time and then they'll come up with like, hey, you didn't show me this one. And well, that one didn't have the 3rd bedroom or whatever. Oh, that's okay, because it looks like they have a basement, so we could, you know, do something. So I've been kind of like, they can look through it and see, like, make those decisions, but I don't know.
Yeah, and I think that's actually part of the initial conversation that you have with them. So tell me what you're looking for. Okay, so this house is a 5. It's good, not great, but it's not really doing it for you. You don't want to move in. So let's talk about that. So what are the must-haves that you have to have in your next house? Well, I have to have 3 bedrooms. And you have a budget of $200,000. You want to live in Beaverdale. Okay. So how would you feel about a basement bedroom? Like I would ask that. What if there were 2 bedrooms upstairs and a 3rd bedroom? Like why do they need 3 bedrooms? Because the mom who has 2 little kids that each need their own room, or maybe she has 4 little kids and 2 are going to share each, like whatever the situation is. Moms like their kids all on the same floor as them. So maybe when they're teenagers, then they can have the Greg Brady room in the basement. But, you know, if they just need a 3rd bedroom for a home office, well, what if that was in the basement? What if we found absolutely everything that matched your wish list, but there was only 2 bedrooms, but it had finish in the basement, so you could use the basement area for home office? Would that work or not? And then they tell you. And then when they change their mind, I'll say, oh, I'm sorry. For some reason, I was under the impression that you had to have 3 bedrooms because you told me you had to have 3 bedrooms. Has that changed? Oh yeah, we talked about it late last night and we've decided to loosen our criteria. So, you know, the win is in the fact that they came back to you with more information. I don't love that they came back with an accusation. And so maybe that could be prevented by telling them, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set up a search and here's the criteria. And I can change this really easily. Or asking like Shannon did, do you have any tweaks that you want me to make to it? Because then they realize that you're not super rigid in what you're sending. You just want to meet their highly unrealistic expectations. Yeah. So, and like the guy like Zach, like it doesn't make sense to send him all of the listings. So, you know, I don't generally have a lot of people on a custom MLS drip because I will lose track of that and I will not send those emails out. So I rely on my technology a lot. So I'll also tell people that. So I'll tell them I'm going to send you everything. And, you know, my computer is not as smart as you and me, but they've got their criteria, and you can qualify things by the photos that come through on the email on whether or not it meets your whatever. I can make changes to the search, let me know. And, you know, I try to get as specific as possible, but then also not so specific that nothing pops up. Because if they have to have 2 full bathrooms under 200,000, what are we even talking about? So, you know, leave yourself opportunity to pivot when they're going to, I guess is the point.
I like that. So what you're saying is you do both, like you set up the search, but then you're also texting them saying, I found these 2 that I think would be really good for you.
Yeah. So immediately after I meet them, I do set up that set it and forget it search. So then they're going to get an email all the time from Heather Wright. And sometimes just seeing your name is all it takes. But then I'm going to text them, hey, based on what we talked about at our showing today, here's a couple of houses that I think you might be interested in. And I might just pick the top 2, the most 2 expensive, the 2 that were at the top of the list, the highest and the lowest, you know, here's random, whatever. And then as time goes on, the fortune is in the following. So, but if I follow up with them every single time, hey, Scott, did you see 123 Main Street is on the market? Hey, Scott, did you see 124 Main Street is on the market? Like, of course, he's getting the emails. So you're not really following up with anything in addition to what you're already sending. So I would, like, I have a cadence set up where, you know, depending on what happened at the showing, that will dictate how frequently I'm going to follow up with them. So let's say we don't really know. So I'm going to follow up with them probably every 3 or 4 days until we do know what their situation is. And so I'm going to look at what they've been looking at from the listings that I've sent them. And if they've looked at nothing, I'll say, hey, I've sent you a couple of emails with houses. Is that matching your, is that matching what we had talked about? Or do you want me to make any tweaks to it like Shannon had suggested? Or, because I just want to know, are you getting it or is it going to spam? Maybe it is going to spam. A lot of times my emails go to spam. Are you getting them in your inbox? And if they tell me, oh yeah, I'm getting them, I know they're deleting them. So then I might ask them the next time, I might ask them, hey, did you see this particular address? If the address looks cool, I might look at their search and, oh gosh, this looks like a nice house. I'd love to go show it to them. So then I might send them that one house specifically. This looks like it might meet all of your criteria. What do you think? But I'm not going to do that every time that I'm doing a follow-up because it's the same exact repetition and it's not really about them. So when we're constantly asking people, hey, do you want to go look at houses? That's about us. But when you're saying, hey, this looks like it might have the 4 bedrooms you need and the 2 extra spaces for your home offices. Now that is custom about them, reiterating that I can listen and follow through with exactly what it is that we talked about, which is going to build trust because I'm doing exactly what we agreed to. And then I actually love technology so much. I have a Gemini gem that is going to tell me what to send them every other conversation after that. Yeah. So, but mix it up, because when you're asking, do you want to go look at houses this weekend? The answer is no. Don't even ask that question. That is bad follow-up, isn't it, Anna? Anna's like, shit, I sent it 4 times this morning.
I do. We just do it once in a while, like right now I have an active client, I'll be like, hey, you have a list of homes you want to see, does this weekend still work? But
Right. Hey, my calendar's filling up pretty fast on Saturday. I know we were talking about looking at houses this weekend.
yeah,
What
then I
time
say-
slot should I reserve for
Then
you?
if they're under EDA, I'm always like, I just want to make sure we get you in before I take other clients.
Which is the whole point of being exclusive and committing to a realtor. So you don't have to wait 6 months to see your dentist. That's a good line. Would you commit to your dentist? Well, yeah, I do. Well, funny, my dentist makes me schedule my appointment 6 months in advance, and apparently doesn't have time for me in between now and then. It's pretty good.
Like during the showing, I will always say also like with my brokerage, we have access. A lot of people will say what they're gonna have on the market within like a few days. And so I have access to that. So it kind of gives them like, oh, well, I guess she has something that Zillow doesn't. I'm like, it has to go to the MLS, then it hits Zillow. So I have access to those things before. And then I will send them a follow-up text if I see something, like I'm always scanning like what you guys are posting and be like, hey, saw this, kind of screenshot it without any real info and then put my own info underneath of it. And that's where it fits.
Yeah, that's great.
Sometimes I save those pictures that people post and I'll just text it to them, be like, hey, I thought this house is coming up, here are the stats. And so,
Just, so you know, you can't do that, yeah, out of our private group.
You don't,
That-
then you don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you can't screenshot information out of our private group and share it.
Oh, you're not screenshotting information. You're saving the photo of the house and
Yeah.
sending the photo.
so I can't save the photo either.
So no,
I can't ask the
Noted.
agent to send me the photos.
You can ask the agent too.
And I've done that before,
Yeah.
been like, hey, do you have the Google Drive with photos? And they'll be like, sure.
Yeah.
Or I might have somebody that wants to see these.
That, yes, it's just part of being part of that group is the agreement. that we
Oh,
have.
okay, well, I'm sorry.
Sure.
if I-
No. That's only why I mentioned it. is-
An arc
yeah.
alert over
Well,
there.
you learn breaking the laws all the time.
No, we've just had some very private information come out of our group, and so we had to
Oh, that's fine.
break that down a little bit.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
if the
hopefully it's done
agent
after that.
wants to share the photo with you, that's
Okay,
completely outside of that.
okay, thanks. Well,
Or get the old listing on the MLS.
Oh, what is that?
from Google.
They sign with you because they trust you, not because you sent listing. All this talk about listings, they trust you to continue sending listings. But they trust you because you listened to them, you heard them. I mean, really, how often, this world is so fast paced. Nobody listens to anybody ever. And if like you're the one light in somebody's life because you listened to what they had to say at a showing, that's amazing. Of course they're going to pick you. Okay, so 5 things every time. And then I have a cheat sheet to go over. So we're totally going to hit time. Yeah. And get out 20 minutes early. How about that, kids? Okay, so 5 things every time. You're going to pull 2 to 3 backup listings. So this isn't a perfect world where you have all the time in the world to prepare. So somebody wants to look at, 123 Main Street. And like for internet leads, I know ours don't come in, they have a minimum of a 2-hour buffer. So you cannot select a showing. It's almost 2:30, so it'd probably be at least 4:30, which is really not a lot of time to do some research. So you could pull 2 to 3 backup listings before you show up. Practice the setup lines out loud in the car. What are the setup lines? Before we go in, I want to make sure this showing actually works for you. I'm going to ask questions as we walk through so I can help you find the right place. Sound good? That sound good is the magic words of that sentence, because then it makes them say yes. Every yes brings you closer to a sale. Is that a saying? It should be. I think the saying is every no
No,
brings you
yeah.
closer to a yes, but for today's purposes. And then you ask, are you working with a lender yet, or is that still on your to-do list? So just practice those in the car. And then you're going to keep the buyer timeline in your bag. Chris, do you have a bag that you're going to take on showings? Claude, man, you
Do you have a
gotta get it. Yeah.
Satchel.
I just
Your
watched
man
that
purse.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, but you do have access to folders for your buyer packet at the office. And if there are people in here who don't have folders, well, maybe that is something you want to consider making for your own presentation when you're meeting strangers from the internet on showings, because perhaps that is something that is missing in your whole shtick that is causing people to not pick you, because maybe they feel like you're unprepared or you're just like every other realtor out there. So like step it up and bring a buyer timeline. And then you're going to send a follow-up within a couple of hours. So it is good to have 2 to 3 backup listings before you show up. And even if you had like vacant houses, and we didn't really talk about this in the training, but if you're looking at one house, that's great, but sometimes it's not great. Nadine and Lance, Zepeda, last fall were lead, and they were busy. They were curt. Everything was, get off my phone, Heather. So we set up the appointment, and then they sent in more listings. I'm like, oh geez, okay, fine. So I talked to her, do you have a realtor? What's going on? She didn't want to commit. Get off my phone. Okay. So I agreed, let's look at all these houses, and we'll just do it all on the property pre-touring agreement, and we'll know by the end of our tour if you want to work with me or not. And these people were the shortest people I have ever seen them up. They were so cute. They were literally like this tall, and I'm this tall, right? And so we were just immediately cracking up at how ridiculous we looked together. And then, you know, you could tell in that first showing, they're like, we don't really know if we want to give her our full thoughts or whatever. So the next house, they warm up a little bit more, and then they warm up a little bit more. By the 5th house, which was the one that they loved, that they ended up buying, and they were also so tired because it was hot that day, and that's a lot of houses to look at. And so they said to me at the 5th house, like, Heather, we pick you. We pick you. We just want you to know we pick you. And so then like that was their house. But we had looked at so many that they really got the opportunity in an hour and a half, 2-hour period to get to know what it was like working with me, that I'm not scamming you, that I am actually pointing out the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I am trustworthy and also hilarious. So you're going to have a good time. So the 2 to 3 backup listings, that is a bonus tip. Thanks a lot, Claude, for reminding me of that. A bonus tip, because especially if you pick those vacant houses, then you can ask them at the showing, you know, hey, I've got a couple of other houses that, you know, might work for you based on this. But then if they tell you the information that they give you at that first showing, it might work out that the bonus showings make no sense at all. So, you know, you kind of have to be prepared for that. So then send your follow-up text within 2 hours. Nobody do this. I do not screenshot.
I'm going to.
Not even my, I think even my own team,
Everyone
I'm like,
sends
do
it.
not text me.
You have your notes out from the other day, so I was
And then report your next 3 outcomes to Michelle. Yes, second showing or gone. So, and what was really interesting was Chelsea, who is a new agent. I wish she was here because she could tell you guys that, was it within 2 days, I think, she had somebody under EBA. And then so we have our team meetings on Wednesday mornings. And I think by Friday morning, she had someone under EBA. And of course, she was like, oh my God, it worked. And then by Sunday night, I think she had somebody else under contract. So that's great. And Tom Ferry, he's a real estate coach. If you've ever heard him talk, he will mention how, you know, the benefit of real estate coaching is to have somebody, you know, give you the tips, whatever. And he correlates that to his golf coach, where, and I don't golf, but he has like a golf swing, and his golf coach will just move his hand just a tiny bit and the swing improves. And so if you just get a tiny bit of change from this training that gets you another buyer agreement or gets you another contract, then I think that's a win, because like, that's just what we're all doing, is improving every single day.
I don't know what to ask you, Heather, on your Zillow, because I only do Zillow in certain area codes up there, way far.
Baxter.
No, even further. Like Timmins, Toledo, Garwin, Cass, Marshalltown.
Oh God, I don't even know where those
Okay.
places are.
So if you have anyone over there.
Yeah.
Maybe. We're dealing with a lot of old school agents, lenders that awful.
No.
Anyway, agent tours, when they come into your phone, I think it was like an automatic 2-hour. Can you commit to this time? If you can't, it'll go to the next
Oh,
agent,
yeah.
whatever. Are you always committing to that time and then can't, like,
Never.
I commit to it because
Stop it.
sometimes I'm like, well, it doesn't say that they're committed yet. That's what time they requested. But then I've had so many people say, well, I didn't even want that time. Zillow just made me pick a time or whatever. So then I'll commit to it, go on to showing time, and then I'll confirm with her, be like, hey, if they respond to you right away, perfect. If they don't, then I'm going to cancel the showing, but now we have their information. Am I scamming Zillow? Maybe. But do you know what I'm
You're not
saying?
alone. And a lot of people do that. And
Okay.
but we make it a practice to not do that, because it really is not a great customer experience if in fact they are selecting 4 o'clock this afternoon and then you're calling them to say, oh, can't do 4. Let's
But
just
see,
fix
we
it
had
instead."
someone do that, and then she texted right away.
There
and they,
are sometimes
and they
people-
ghosted, and they never called back. And they're
Yeah.
like, well, then I showed up at 4 o'clock, but you never confirmed it with an agent. You're just confirming it with an online person. So then it was like, yeah. So that was like that was why I was asking.
I don't leave my driveway unless somebody signs the property tour
Yeah.
agreement.
Which
Or
that's
DBA.
good now that
And I always tell them if they come in and want a showing tomorrow from Zillow or wherever, if they don't sign it within 2 hours, I bomb them. I call them. I email them.
It's a
I
triple
text
threat.
them.
Yeah.
It's a Zillow message, whatever. I will triple threat them like every half hour.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I haven't seen a signed form. Are you still planning on it? If I
Right.
hear back by 2
And then you
hours
just don't
prior,
go.
we'll have to reschedule.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I'm not gonna go drive to Waukee from.
But it's
Ankeny.
coming to your phone, right? I mean, so
Yeah.
team lead, I get them. That's where, but I'm not on the team one yet. I'm not on the whatever. This is-
even when we weren't on Zillow Preferred, when we were just regular Premier agents,
Okay.
then it goes to my agents, not to me.
Okay.
Because
And
if it
you
comes
switch
to me, it's going to not get worked.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
That's that's
So
my
I would
hard
have,
part
I
right
would
now.
have them,
I don't
you have
know.
a couple of people, don't you?
Yeah, but she's my main one that like is full time, that is available 24/7.
Let her
Not
answer the real
24/7,
time.
but you know,
Yeah.
pretty much.
It's just a change in your settings that you need to make
Okay,
on your Zillow back.
then it can go directly, and then the
Mhm.
real time. Okay, that might be.
That'd be very helpful.
Yeah.
Well, and it's
Yeah.
not just
It's
you
telephone.
getting in your car and getting ghosted. You're asking a homeowner to leave their home.
I also say that
For that
in one of my
timeframe.
emails, like
Yeah.
we need to respect the seller's time
Yeah.
also.
And I'll
let them know.
always send the agent when I do that, be like, hey, this was a Zillow lead. We have not heard from them yet. So just FYI, don't schedule anything, but here's our, so I'm in contact with them, but
I don't know if you know this, but a lot of people hate Zillow. So I
I know.
don't generally advertise to listing agents. I'm gonna go waste everybody's time and meet a new buyer at your listing.
I just say an internet lead. I don't
Yeah, I
say Zillow lead, but just be like, hey, I did get a new lead and I've not confirmed with them yet, but
right.
just so you know, this was the time that was set.
Well, and
I don't
that's what showing. Oh, they don't use.
Yeah,
showing
because it
time?
automatically does showing time.
Yeah,
So, uh-huh.
but that's the problem
I
is
know.
you want to reschedule everything.
Yeah.
As soon as you stop doing that, your life is going to improve immensely.
But it gives you 2 hours,
She's
or
never gonna
45
do it, is
minutes
she?
for.
No,
She's
I'm
not
gonna make her.
Okay.
She's like, I don't want to drive that far. She's actually had closings from it though. I
Yeah.
mean, so these are quality leads.
Yes.
There's maybe been like 2 that have not, but that's where it's like,
Right, but
Yeah.
so the way you're doing it, your very first conversation with them is a nuisance. hey, this is Stephanie. I got your information off of Zillow. I understand that you wanted to look at a house at 4 o'clock, but geez, I'm so sorry that doesn't work. Could you do 6 o'clock instead? Oh. Instead of, hey, I'll see you there at 4 o'clock. I drove a silver car and my license plate say, treat yourself. I'll see you then. Yeah, you know. But then if you send that property pre-touring agreement in .loop beforehand, then it will also minimize on the people who refuse to sign at the door.
Yeah, and they recently just switched that agent touring thing, I think in the last couple months, that it goes directly to showing time.
Sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know the
I don't-
tour one is awesome. When they just request a tour, get those all the time.
Yeah.
But when they actually do the agent real touring, it's like, oh geez.
Yeah.
Doesn't give you a whole lot of time to get there.
Aren't you talking about the real-time tour?
Real time tour.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. And how it automatically schedules and showing time.
Yes.
Yes. It sometimes does that, but not always.
Okay.
If only any of us knew what's actually happening at Zillow, we'd probably be much more successful.
I know.
But
And I've tried to call my Zillow rep, but I've gotten switched now twice. So
Yeah.
I'm waiting for their email to get back.
yeah, you're not going to get an answer.
They're talking a lot about lawsuits right now, the Zillow reps.
Oh, not mine. My rep says, she'll probably say it tomorrow on our call, but she's like, oh, we all know that there is nothing to this lawsuit. We're not doing anything wrong. We know that.
So then I have to ask a whole room question because, you know, all of us have been agents for different periods of time. So we just got back from a conference. It was a really good conference. But who in here cold called? Prospects? Calls expires? For sale by owners?
No,
Heather? No, never, right?
never.
Okay, we were just curious. It's Michigan. It was Michigan where we were at. Same market almost.
Big business.
Huge business.
I know a lot of people in other areas that
Yeah.
do, but I don't.
I know. And I told her, I was like, a lot of our metro, since I've even worked at the front desk with Remax, which was in 09, by the way, having myself, but I don't remember anyone ever doing that. And that's when we had desk phones at Beaverdale. Like, I don't ever remember any of our agents actually like sitting there cold calling.
One of the Cedar Valley agents from this morning's call talked about it, and that's part of what he
Yeah.
does.
But a lot of it was about scripts too. So
There
I
was some guy at the Urbandale office who used to wear one of those
The
headpiece
capacitors,
things.
like-
Yeah. I think
Oh,
his
like
name was Matt.
the Bluetooth? Was it Matt? Oh, what was his last name?
I want to say Cole, but it's not Matt Cole.
It started with a G, didn't it?
Grow. I think he did.
You're right.
That's what the thing
Yeah,
is
yeah.
for. Yeah.
Anyway, it was just curious. We were
It's
kind
a
of like,
cheat sheet. Yeah. No, we don't.
but no, the script thing, that's good, especially when you have a lead. Front lead to go down.
Yeah.
He was
And, is
high
that
on
what you're
scripts,
saying?
high on scripts.
Yeah, didn't you open it? Okay, so here is a cheat sheet, which I printed at home and Claude designed. I mean, is this amazing? Like, this was designed by AI. And like, I had to edit it a little bit, but that's pretty incredible. What a time to be alive. But then I printed it, and Michelle can't even print it. Like, it's just being mean to her. And like, it's things are chopped off, so Claude has a little bit of work to do before he replaces actual graphic designers. Scott, we know you're a professional, and this is not professional work. So, but this is a nice cheat sheet that my team really likes to have. So Michelle will email it out to everybody, and it's got like your things to say at the curb so that you can practice it. It's illegal to text and drive, but you can read and drive, practicing your things when you maybe don't do that, but you can have this to practice. And reminder, you're auditioning for the job, things to do in the showing. I mean, this could have been the presentation, couldn't it? You could have just had one page instead of 5,000 slides,
But we wanted 2 hours of CEU, so.
right?
Yes.
And we hit it. We're a minute over. Anybody have any questions?
You did great, Heather.
Oh, thanks. It was much better the first time because all the words were on the screen and I could just read it. So. What about from the peanut gallery? Do we have anything from that?
Here, let me stop sharing the screen and we can see their little faces.
Is anyone
They're all
still
sleeping.
No.
We
Oh,
can
they're not
see
sleeping
you
at
now.
all. Oh, look, Cara's here. Oh, and Alex is there, and Jamie's hidden behind the.
Hi, Jamie.
I guess so we can see everybody. There you go.
Right, look at that. Okay, so the people on the internet, did anybody get anything good out of this? Raise your hand. If you don't raise your hand, we know you weren't paying attention. Okay, so Michelle, make note of the people who aren't paying attention, and really, I think everybody, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
I think we can call it a day and run with our 2 CEUs and hopefully make some money later this afternoon.